Hi, Sean Huckster here. Welcome to the Mighty Max Rabbit Hole Awards, a series of short videos in which I go over the various Mighty Max sets that I have and choose the best and sometimes the worst. Today is the final day. This is the award for best and worst Doom Zones. The Doom Zone is the culmination, is the absolute epitome of the Mighty Max playset. Yeah, you've got some bigger sets. You've got the Skull Mountain and Dragon Island and the Skull Master. But this is the essence of Mighty Max. Mighty Max started with like this Doom Skull Dungeon, and this is so iconic. It's in all the TV ads. It's the one that you would probably most recognize. I'm not going to give this a best or worst because it was an early set, so there are some mistakes made, but it is a really very cool set. When you open this up, you are given what you were promised, Skull Dungeon, and you have an absolute pastiche, I will give it a generous word, of the Frankenstein setup. And no kid would have hated this. This was wonderful. I love it. This did not make my best or worst list for good reasons, and I'll get to that. I always start with the worst because I like to end on a positive. So let's start with the worst Mighty Max Doom Zones. And I've chosen these nominees here, and I will tell you which ones I think are which as I go. So let's start with the Fly. Squishes the Fly. This is one of my nominees for the worst. And let me just say this first of all. There are no bad Mighty Max sets. Honestly, there are no bad Mighty Max Doom Zones. I give exception to the Dreadheads. Those were bad. There are no bad Mighty Max Doom Zones. They're all good. But when you have 18 of them, and you want to rank them from best to worst, something's got to lose. So these three are my nominees for the worst. And I put worst in quotes, and I should have put it here in worst because they're not that bad. This one is kind of brilliant. You open it up by, I think you first lift up the nose, then this frees up the eyes to open, and that's kind of a very cool set. You got your villain here. Then, you know, it's been a while since I've opened this one, so you lift up the top. What I love about this one, I love this bank of televisions. It's kind of cool. And then this cicada type beast comes out. These all have names. I've reviewed them before. I'm not going to go over it right now. And then you have this set in here, and then this massive leg beast comes out, which is the legs of the Fly. And let's just place you back in there. And just because it's a bit of a thematic mess, I shouldn't harp on it too much because it's still, like I said, there are no bad Mighty Max sets. Mighty Max stands here. Let's put the cicada back where the cicada belongs, in here. And then close, and close, and close, and close. And then we have Rattus. A lot of people are probably going to complain when I say Rattus is one of the worst ones. And I got to tell you, it's mostly because it's just ugly. It's really ugly. But that's not the reason I chose this necessarily. So it's also hard to find. If you find it, it's very hard to find with the arachnid spider. Inside, you've got this really cool vehicle, though. And the vehicle has a weapon that aims upward. Max sits in the back. The weapon is just almost like a cannon. Then what happens is, and I'm not going to take it apart now because I've done it in multiple videos before. These ears come out and attach to this and form like a plow as it plows through the sewer. There are a lot of rats in here, which is appropriate for Rattus. I do like the interior. There's a lot of barrels and various things, and there's a massive sticker here that shows that does a lot of the work. I'm never a fan when a sticker does the major part of the work. I do like the fact that the spider can come off, and this panel has all sorts of details on it. I love that. This swings out, and then that allows the trapdoor to open into the cage, which then can be opened by pulling this, and then whatever's in the cage can drop out. And so that's this set. And of course, Rattus the villain can stand here when he's not in action. Why this one? It's ugly. The ears are really hard to put back when you take them out to put them on the vehicle. They're really, really very, very difficult to put back. And I don't like these spindly spider legs. I think that arachnid set from the series 1 is a much nicer way to do a spider. So that's the second nominee for worst. And the third is, of course, the hand. Again, why? Ugly. Ugly. Oh my God, it's ugly. But that's not the only reason. I like, again, there's no bad Mighty Max sets. This one I like because, there's a lot going on in here. This zombie is buried underneath the ground with these skeletons, and there's a spot here, I believe, when you lift this up. Let me just get that up again. There's a spot in there with a grave for Max, or at least it's implied that this grave next to the zombie is about Max sized. Then you open up the rest of it, and they got all these tendons and muscles and things. It's just gruesome, to be honest. And this opens out, and Lignan, the villain, comes out. I did give Lignan a nominee for Best Villain because he's just so freaky and cool. He's definitely a gnarled tree spirit, and there's skulls everywhere. But here's, and I like the fact that the mausoleum opens up, and you can see inside. Max is here, but I also love this rotating zombie. He's anchored down to the ground, but he rotates around. I do like that, and he can threaten Max, and Max has a foothold right here, a very loose one in this case. But here's why, I think, is that this thing is a finger, and it's hard to open. Come on, open up. One of the reasons it's kind of hard to open. Let's open them up, and then you've got this amazingly ugly tongue beast. And supposedly Max can slide down here and into the mausoleum or the crypt, and that's probably true. But this is just butt ugly. Fingernails are just Anyway, that's the reason I nominated this one as worst. So of the three, which is the absolute worst? Sentiment among collectors is that the hand is kind of a favorite one, and a lot of people like the fact that the ring is part of the hand, which is the Mighty Max logo. And I do like the tendons and things. And Radis, I'm not going to give it worst, because Radis, while ugly, and it's really hard to get the ears back in, I think it's just a nice set. I love subterranean sets, like inside a sewer or a dungeon. I'm going to give worst to the Fly. Again, please note that it is the least best of the 18. It is not worst of anything. I think it's still a great set. I love playing with this one every now and then. It's just that thematically it's a bit of a mess, and inside it's a bit of a mess. It's one of the least thought out, I think, of the Doom Zones. So let's put our nominees for worst aside. Again, there are no bad Mighty Max sets. All right, let's go to my best. So my best is are these three. This is the Pit of Poison. And this is Lizard, and this is Nemo's Nautilus. And let's briefly go through these now that we have the loser winner. I've reviewed all these before. Let's go over why I love these sets. So first of all, this is the only set that opens like a book, horizontally. I love the fact that you cannot open it until it's unlocked, and to unlock it, you pull out the head of the escape shuttle, which is what it's supposed to be. It is modeled to look like some sort of undersea lobster-type creature. Captain Nemo is inside. The head lifts up to reveal Captain Nemo, and you can fit other characters in there. He does fit nice and snugly back there, though. Ironically, in the story, he does not escape in this. Max escapes in this, and he leaves Nemo behind to perish inside his own submarine. And so this is a submarine, not a beast, not an actual thing, but it's made to look like a beast. And here you have this tread under here, which is what makes it crawl along the ocean bottom. And this is the escape shuttle. It cannot open until this, which snaps onto a post back there, is pulled out. And now you can open it. And inside, this drops out right away. So be careful, because this just drops out. This is not kept in any way. It would have been nicer if they put that in there in such a way as that it would stay there on its own, but they didn't do that. Then you got this middle piece, which I've once or twice said looks a bit like a Dr. Seuss machine. The details in here are spectacular. I've already talked about up here. You've got like modern machine guns, and just if you get this set, take a very close look at the walls and the details and the interior. It's wonderful. You've got a drill press here. You've got another pneumatic drill here. Certainly something's going on in here. This platform folds out, which I love because you can have a standing platform. And then this weapon rotates and moves as part of that platform. But then it closes, leaves the hole for the trawl device to snap back in. And that can go right here. And then let's close it up again. And we lock it again by pushing this into the post. And that's the Nautilus, which I absolutely love. Now we have the Lizard. I've reviewed all these before. You should go back over my reviews. This one locks in place too, because you cannot open the latch here because the head is holding it down. And the head is held down by this little lock plate here, this little tiny thing that connects to the lower part of the mouth. When you lift this up, suddenly the head comes up, and now you can lift the rest of the body to reveal what is one of the most beautiful, beautiful interiors that they ever created for Mighty Max. Not only the color combination of orange and purple with the ivory and the dark, the dark kind of gunmetal gray for the viscera. The beasts are amazing. They're just creepy as hell. Look at this thing. Oh, dropped it on the floor, which of course is typical when I do any kind of video. I'm supposed to drop something on the floor at least, right? So this is like, I mean, creepy as hell, but I love it. I love it. Look at this, tentacles coming out everywhere. This tail rotates, and he goes back in, sitting in his little pit of slime here. This bone here lifts up this arm that reveals another drop to the floor. That's 2. I think that's a record. I've only ever dropped 1 thing on the floor when doing a video. And so this is one of the ulcers, and it has 5 legs with claws, and this is analogous to the lizard's own foot, which is important because he has 4 feet. And there are 2 kind of tucked away inside as he curls his body around, but each of these also has the tail, a nicely painted tail of the ulcers. Now, unfortunately, they didn't paint the foot like this one, which I think would have been nice had they done so. And then this one back here also has another ulcer coming through. But besides that, there's others. There's one here. Now, for this one, they painted the front and didn't paint the tail. So I always have a debate over why they paint certain things and don't paint certain other things. And I can never figure that out. So we close this down, and this actually locks this guy in place. When this is closed down, you can't pull this out. I mean, you could really pull if you wanted to, but it's locked in there by a little mechanism attached to the tail. And the last interesting feature, of course, of this is that when you turn this knob here, which is one of the knee horns, this tongue flips out and becomes a little play feature in its own, but also it has a use inside. When you put Max in here to slide down this chute, he gets locked in place by this little tab here that's kind of hard to see because it's behind the rib cage. But when you lift this, it frees him up and he can slide the rest of the way down and into this trap sealed by another part of a spine. So this is ingenious. This is absolutely ingenious. I love everything about this set. It's wonderful. Let's get back to a really iconic set. The Pit of Poison is like one of the most iconic sets next to, you know, the Skull Dungeon. This one to me evokes like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Or Indiana Jones, I guess the first one, where he, where he's trying to find the Ark of the Covenant, and he has to go inside a pyramid. This exterior is exquisite. It actually, if you feel this, it actually feels like a snake, because a snake is not slimy. A snake is smooth, but you can feel the plates. And this really feels like an actual honest-to-God snake. I love it. So the head comes up first with a hinge here, and then you get the rest of the set that comes up with a hinge here. So it's a double hinge set, which I absolutely think is brilliant. And then what you have in here is snakes. So many snakes. Why does that have to be snakes, Jacques? But then you have this massive scorpion, which comes out. And scorpions, of course, are often seen as desert villains. I love it. But the tail of the scorpion, when the set is closed, forms the coiled tail of the rattlesnake. Because this, I believe, is supposed to be a rattlesnake, because that's definitely a rattle. But inside, he's a villain. Max sits here for Series 1. This opens up to reveal a skull in there. That's the treasure chest, sort of, or a canopic jar chest, some sort of chest that you would keep like the innards of a mummy in. You got some skeletons here of people who tried to do this before, tried to raid the dungeon and fail. Up here you have a sarcophagus, and inside is a mummy, and he is in there, but you can see the mummy from the outside. When you open the head, there's a little excavation part here. Like there's a little excavation site with a shovel and pick, but lots of skeletons as well, and you can see the mummy there as well. Then up here you've got all sorts of really cool carved details. You've got an amphora jar here. You've got all sorts of details. You've got this gold god up here. I'm not sure which one that is now. It's not. I can't remember which one it is. Snakes again. Then you've got this wonderful mechanism here, which is 2 pieces of a rope. When you buy this, it's very hard to find both pieces intact. So beware when you buy this that there are 2 pieces, not just one. They hinge up here. But because these hinges are open, these get lost very easily. Why are they here? Because when you bring the head up here, the jaw opens up, and opens up to reveal this is the real treasure chest, the real treasure that anybody who's trying to raid this tomb would want. And this connects by connecting the rope across from the mouth to the rock over here, and then Max can climb this to get to the actual treasure, because if you go up here, the stairs, there are snakes blocking the way. He could go up the stairs, but he'd have to fight the snakes. So instead, he slings a rope across, and that attaches here. Come on, get in there. And that's the set. And this tucks beautifully over here. It comes over here first, and there's a little notch specifically designed to hold the rest of the rope. And then there's a little hole right down here for the hook to go into. Beautifully designed set. When I start these awards, when I start the video, I know my nominees, but I don't always know my winner until I re-review the set. So, before I reveal it, let's recap. Of my villains, of my worst Doom Zone, I'm going to give the Mighty Max Torch Award, the Flame Award, to the Fly. But the Mighty Max Winner Award, the Mighty Max Best Doom Zone Award, I'm going to give to... Oh, it's a hard decision, guys. I'm going to give it to the Lizard. I'm going to give it to the Lizard because it has one of the most beautiful interiors, all sorts of cool functions, and that's up against stiff competition because until moments ago, this was my favorite, and this just behind it, I love it. And if I could pull out the other sets, there are about 6 or 7 that I would put right up with these nominees, but someone had to win, and in this case, it's the Lizard. Just too much cool things going on in there. I absolutely adore it. And, well, that's it, guys. I have now gone through all of the awards I'm going to do. This is the final one. So I'm glad if you followed all through these that you went down the Mighty Max rabbit hole with me to the Mighty Max Rabbit Hole Awards. And I know I made some controversial decisions during this process, and I would love for anybody who wants to jump on, give me comments, complain, tell me where I was wrong, tell me where I was right, tell me which sets I've forgotten, which ones I've underestimated or given short shrift to. Blast me in the comments, go for it, because as I have said, there are no bad Mighty Max sets. And I want to know why you think another one is better than these, or worse than these, or what your assessment is of my various other categories was, and where I went wrong. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed this. I have collected these sets now for months, and I've really been waiting to do these videos until I got all the sets that I could possibly get. And that time has come. I'm really glad to have been able to do this. All right, guys. Sean Huckster out. Talk to you later. Bye.